Meghan Markle.
Refusing, it seems, to play along with Meghan Markle's games, and that's proven, especially for me, with this staged Dodgers video that has just been released.
It was the interview nobody expected, the moment that left even the royal experts speechless. For years, Prince Harry has stood unshakably beside Meghan Markle through everything. The endless royal feuds, the brutal headlines, and the constant whirlwind of media chaos that never seemed to stop. Together, they were painted as rebels, victims, and villains, sometimes all at once depending on which paper you read that morning. But lately, something feels different. And now, in what many are calling the most vulnerable and brutally honest moment of his entire life, Harry has finally cracked open the truth about what really went on behind those glossy palace walls and what Meghan actually did to him.
Recollection.
Reputationally, for him, it was a massive turn-off.
And let me tell you, it's darker, sadder, and far more twisted than anyone ever imagined. The world has watched Harry's transformation from the cheeky, carefree prince we all adored to the tired, quiet, and almost haunted man we see now. One insider whispered to the chilling Telegraph that Harry had finally begun to see the pieces for what they were: manipulation, control, and a clever rewriting of his story. Let's rewind for a second. This didn't happen overnight. Everything started to shift when Harry appeared at a private wellness summit in California last week, a supposedly calm event centered around men's mental health.
You know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. And I think that it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show, you know, my children my homeland.
Nothing unusual, until a journalist asked him a question that froze the entire room. The question was simple, but it hit like a lightning strike. Do you ever feel like you lost yourself in love? Harry paused, his usual polite smile faded. The audience waited breath, held, and then came that deep, weary sigh that seemed to echo across the room. He finally said, "Yeah, there was a time I didn't recognize the man in the mirror anymore. I thought I was finding freedom, but sometimes freedom can look a lot like a cage. You could have heard a pin drop." Those words, raw, unfiltered, and
timeline of what's happened for Meghan, because over time she started off, and there was no question that she had her values were about forwarding.
Heartbreakingly honest, swept across the internet within hours. Freedom can look a lot like a cage. Everyone knew exactly who he meant. Within hours, royal watchers were dissecting every word, every glance, every pause. Psychologists chimed in. Former royal aides whispered to tabloids. One even told the Daily Mail that's the closest he's ever come to admitting regret. And honestly, it's not hard to see why people think that. Sources close to the Sussex Circle claim Harry's relationship with Meghan has quietly hit breaking point, a slow-burning collapse that's been building for months behind the heavy gates of their Montecito mansion. It all began, reportedly, during the chaos of their failed Netflix projects. Meghan wanted more documentaries, more brand deals, more luxury. But Harry, he just wanted peace. Then, one insider didn't mince words. He's tired, exhausted.
Of when they were at the softball and the kiss cam came on. And a lot of people have commented on this, but I want to comment on the specific technique. And the specific technique is misdirection and
Used as a mouthpiece, the husband who always agrees. Harry, they said, is finally realizing how much of himself he's lost trying to protect someone who might never have wanted saving in the first place. And that right there is the heartbreak. For the longest time, Harry believed he was Meghan's rescuer, the knight who rode in to save her from a cold and cruel institution. But now, the painful truth is dawning. Maybe he was the one who needed saving all along. That realization didn't crash down all at once. It crept in slowly, moment by moment, as Harry watched the world move on without him. His brother, Prince William, is thriving. His father, King Charles, is focusing on his legacy rather than family feuds. The monarchy has evolved, yet Harry, he's stuck. Not in London, not even in LA. But in this emotional limbo, caught between the life he left behind and the one he can't seem to fully live. And Meghan, according to one source, she's tightening her grip. Everything goes through her, the insider said. Every project, every person he talks to, every public statement. Meghan reportedly wants total control, terrified that Harry might go off script. And that's exactly what he did at that summit, and the fallout was instant. Within minutes of that viral clip exploding online, Meghan's team allegedly scrambled into crisis mode. PR advisors were called, journalists were contacted, even the summit organizers were reportedly asked to clarify his comments. But by then, the internet had already crowned it Harry's slip of truth. Behind the scenes, Meghan was furious. She allegedly confronted Harry the moment she saw it trending. "You're being careless," she told him, according to insiders.
I love it. It's just surrounded by love.
"You're feeding the tabloids." The tabloids pounced instantly. Harry's cryptic confession hints at marital turmoil. Prince finally admits pain behind Meghan marriage. And for once, the headlines weren't exaggerating. Sources close to him say Harry's behavior has shifted dramatically. He's become withdrawn, reflective, distant. One of his old army friends told the Mirror he used to be the guy cracking jokes by the next round. Now he just sits there and staring into his drink like he's somewhere else entirely. And then came the line that chilled everyone. Sometimes I miss being invisible. Imagine that the prince who gave up a palace for privacy are now wishing he could disappear completely. That's when royal insiders started saying out loud what many had whispered for years. Prince William was right to warn Harry about his relationship with Meghan. Because the truth, no matter how painful, is that Harry's pursuit of freedom became the very thing that trapped him. Because here's the bitter truth. Harry's search for freedom became the very thing that caged him. All those glittering deals, the documentaries, the magazine spreads, the endless interviews they were supposed to give him purpose, but instead they became chains. Golden, glittering chains built from guilt, pressure, and control, and Meghan, according to insiders, she sees it all slipping away. But instead of fixing the cracks in their marriage, she's focused on fixing the cracks in their brand. She knows that if Harry keeps speaking like this raw, unscripted, unfiltered, the carefully constructed image of Sussex Strong could shatter overnight. One Hollywood insider told Page Six, if he keeps talking like that, the illusion breaks, and when it breaks, it's over. And honestly, they might be right. Because this isn't just Harry showing emotion, it's him finally showing truth. Truth about what it cost him to love someone in the spotlight. Truth about identity, control, and the painful price of loyalty. And Meghan's reaction, let's just say it turned a quiet storm into a full-blown earthquake. The moment that clip started trending, millions of views in mere hours, chaos reportedly erupted in Montecito. Meghan's phones were blowing up. Her PR advisors were frantically calling journalists. A staffer even told The Sun she walked into the mansion to find Meghan pacing barefoot across the marble floor, phone clutched to her ear, shouting orders, get it taken down, flag it, call the press. Do something! But there was nothing anyone could do. Harry's words, freedom can look a lot like a cage, were already burned into the internet forever. No spin, no PR statement. No carefully crafted apology could erase that. For years, Meghan had controlled the narrative. Every interview, every photo, every podcast appearance, every moment was carefully shaped to fit their story. But this time, she couldn't stop it. She'd lost the script, and that loss, it made her furious. Insiders say that when Harry returned home from the summit, Meghan confronted him immediately, and it exploded into one of their most heated arguments ever. She accused him of betrayal, telling him he'd made her look manipulative and controlling. She said he'd ruined everything they'd built. But for the first time in a long time, Harry didn't back down. He didn't apologize. He looked her in the eye and said 6 simple words that shook their entire world. I didn't ruin anything. I told the truth. Those words were like gasoline to fire. Meghan stormed off, slamming the door so hard that the chandelier reportedly shook. But the real explosion wasn't in their mansion, it was online. Social media tore their every move apart. Twitter threads, TikTok breakdowns, YouTube commentaries, everyone was saying the same thing. Harry's finally cracking. Even the British press, the same press Harry had fought for years, smelled blood. The headlines the next morning were merciless. Prince Harry's cryptic confession, trouble in paradise? The Sussex fairy tale crumbles. Freedom or regret, Prince speaks out. But here's the twist. For once, Harry didn't seem angry. According to a close friend, he actually looked relieved. It's like he's letting the truth breathe again, the friend said. Like he's finally admitting to himself that this isn't what he thought it would be. But Meghan wasn't about to let that version of the story dominate the headlines. She launched what insiders call full PR warfare. She started calling in favors, reaching out to sympathetic journalists, spinning counter stories that painted Harry as emotional, tired, and misunderstood. Within 48 hours, magazines started running pieces saying Harry was reflecting on his past struggles, or that he was misinterpreted due to exhaustion. But the public wasn't buying it. Not this time. The clip spoke for itself. The look in Harry's eyes, the weight in his voice. People could feel the truth. Comments flooded in. He looks miserable. She's not protecting him anymore. She's protecting herself. He doesn't look free. He looks trapped. And behind those glossy mansion gates, the tension grew thicker than ever. Friends close to the couple say Harry became almost unrecognizable. He spent hours alone in the garden, sometimes just staring at the horizon. He'd sit quietly by the fireplace, barely speaking. He even stopped returning calls from Meghan's Hollywood contacts, distancing himself from the glamorous crowd that once defined their new life. He's starting to realize how alone he really is. one insider said. He's got no family to turn to, no old friends left, and for years, the only voice he's heard was hers. And once that illusion cracks, once you start seeing the truth, you can't unsee it. That's when, sources claim, Harry began quietly reaching out to people from his past. A few old army buddies, even a former palace aide who had always been discreetly loyal to him. It wasn't reconciliation, not yet, but it was a start, a way to remember who he was before the noise. Meanwhile, Meghan's world was crumbling. Public opinion was shifting. The sympathy she once had, the media adoration, the Hollywood buzz, it was fading. Netflix deals stalled. Spotify pulled the plug. And now, the one person she thought she could always count on, Harry, was slipping away emotionally. That's when she reportedly began planning what her team called the counterattack. A major magazine feature was in the works, one that would set the record straight. The goal? To reposition her once again as the misunderstood victim of a sexist, judgmental world. But this time, it didn't land. Hollywood wasn't rushing to defend her anymore. Former allies, editors, stylists, talk show hosts started to go quiet. Even her inner circle was distancing itself. The tide had turned. And in that eerie silence, Meghan reportedly began to unravel. A staff member told the Mirror that they overheard her during a late-night phone call, her voice trembling. "I gave up everything for him, everything. And now he's painting me like the villain." But here's the truth that Meghan couldn't see. Harry wasn't painting her as the villain. He was just trying to find himself. That same week, Harry quietly attended a private veterans event in Santa Barbara. No cameras, no Meghan, just him and a few of the men and women he once served alongside people who knew the real Harry before all of this. Witnesses say he looked emotional, even tearful. He told a small group, "You don't realize how lost you are until someone takes your compass away. I thought I was doing the right thing, but somewhere along the way, I stopped being me." That confession spread through the veteran community like wildfire. It was the Harry they remembered, humble, broken, but honest. And then came the final twist, the one that shocked everyone. A journalist close to the royal circle revealed that Harry has been secretly working with a publisher on a new personal project. Not a joint memoir, not a documentary, something different. Something Meghan reportedly never approved. Sources say it's raw, honest, deeply personal, a project centered on identity, not fame, on love, loss, and what it really means to lose yourself trying to please others. And those who've seen early drafts say it's stunningly candid. This time, he's not telling their story, he's telling his own. And that, more than anything, has Meghan terrified. Because when the man she once controlled finally starts speaking for himself, the illusion collapses. The brand, the fairy tale, the narrative they built together, it all begins to crumble. And for the first time in years, Harry seems ready to let it. He's not fighting the storm anymore. He's walking through it with his head high and his truth finally his own. And maybe, just maybe, that's what freedom really looks like.